Hey guys, what's up? It's Kevin here. I'm the founder at Majesty Marketing Solutions, and you guys know me as the man with the plan. So today on e-commerce email marketing, we are going to be discussing images within your emails as well as mobile compatibility. There's just a few things I kind of want to make sure that you guys are aware of so that you can avoid some pitfalls as far as, getting your messages sent to spam or ending up in the wrong folder, or even having people open your emails and not be able to get the value right away in that first frame or above the fold without needing to scroll at all, just because their images are disabled, is something I want to help you guys avoid. So there's just a few tricks of the trade I kind of want to lay on you guys right now, so that make sure that this isn't happening to you. The last thing you want is to put together a really powerful, really great email campaign, and then you realize that because of your image settings or the layout of your emails, people are really missing the value because the images aren't showing or it hasn't been properly formatted to appear on a mobile device. Mobile is officially dominating desktop use, so it's really important that whatever you guys are sending out is optimized to perform and look really good still on a mobile device. You're going to want to make sure your fonts are formatting properly so they're the right size and everything's not tiny and impossible to read. And you also want to make sure that if you're going heavy on images, that they're not too large, as well as you have a written text content somewhere within that initial frame or above the fold, we like to call it, which means what you see without needing to scroll, so that someone doesn't open this email, think it's blank, and just delete it or send you to spam or unsubscribe from your newsletter. You want them to open that email, see what the value is, and then take whatever necessary action you've sent that email for. So I'm going to stop blabbing on, guys. We'll get straight into the content, and I'll see you guys after. Deuces. Okay, so let's get right into it, guys. So this is Shopify Email Marketing Tools 1.4. Today we are going to be discussing mobile optimization and images. So mobile compatibility or mobile optimization is essentially the same thing, but what we're really talking about or reinforcing is the whole switch that happened around 2015, where you needed your website to be mobile friendly because mobile searching was beginning to dominate desktop searching. And really what that means is when something's optimized for a desktop, it's optimized or formatted to show up. The layout is meant to show up well on a desktop computer, which means you have a lot more space to add things, and there's a little bit more functionality when we're dealing with desktop. But when you're dealing with mobile, you're going to need your fonts to be larger. You're going to need your links to be larger. You're going to need your menus to be set up in a way that makes them easy to navigate and work through, so people don't get frustrated. So same thing goes for mobile optimization for your emails. When this person opens it on their mobile device, it needs to be formatted in a way that makes it very simple, straightforward to read, and if they want to take the call to action, also very simple to achieve that. And if your emails are coming through more like the one on the left here, then that's going to be fairly difficult. People are just going to unsubscribe or delete your emails and not partake. So whatever email service you're using, whatever CRM you're using, most of them these days have mobile optimization kind of right up there as a main feature. It's kind of like a default now, but you want to make sure, and testing is a really good way to just see how your emails are going to be perceived and how they end up in the inbox. So I want to encourage you guys to take a look, check the previews out, whatever service you're using, but most of them have it under control, but it's something you want to it's like quality control. You just want to make sure that everything's okay there. Okay, so once again, I want you guys to keep this simple. I know, especially when we're trying to do something well, we can tend to overcomplicate it. Guys, I want you to keep at least the layout and your thought process on what images to add and all that. Try and keep it as simple as possible, guys. The more complex your emails are with different layers and layouts and a whole bunch of images and stuff like that, it makes the file larger, which automatically sends you into the promotions folder, as well as it can cause other issues. So if you can keep your emails as simple as possible while getting your message across in a strong way, it's going to be the best case scenario for you guys. So I kind of touched on this a little bit in our previous slide, but whatever CRM that you guys are using, they most likely have optimization for mobile, and they most likely have a preview screen of what it's going to look like on a mobile device. Check it out, take a look. Oftentimes a few extra spaces or moving something a little bit will make a huge difference in the layout of the way your email is going to come across to that end user. Okay, so as far as images are concerned, if images are disabled on whatever email service provider the end customer is using, you want your email to still make sense. You want to start asking yourself certain questions like, or what does your email look like without graphics? You want to ask yourself questions like, who's this email from? Thinking of the branding and keeping that uniform. What is this email all about? And is it relevant to me or to the person that it is going out to? So these are things you're going to want to ask yourself so that when you see the preview or when you see what your email looks like as part of your testing with and without the images, you want it to continue to make sense regardless of what the privileges are. You want to make it so the value or the purpose of your email is very clear immediately as soon as that person opens it, or you're going to lose them. You don't want to make them have to dig for the value in your email or the purpose, the call to action. You don't want to make them have to look for this because they won't. People these days are very easily distracted. They have information overload, so they're just getting bombarded with things, and you have to make your message valuable as possible, as short and concise as possible. And you want to accomplish that as quickly as possible, if not immediately when they open that email, or you're going to end up, being reported as spam, having them unsubscribe, which means you've lost the potential to get repeat business out of that person. So you want to keep your information as valuable as possible, as clean as possible, and keeping it simple is a good way to do that. Okay, so I was actually able to find a really good example online, so we're just going to use this one. So this is an example of an email coming through that is heavy on images. And as you can see, the image privileges are disabled. So if you were to receive this email and what you're looking at in the screen is what you saw, there's a good chance you might delete it because there's nothing there, right? You have no idea what this is really about. So within that first frame, when someone opens that email, if there's nothing there or no identifying information, it doesn't kind of convey the value of why this person is receiving this email, there's a very high chance it's going to get deleted, or you could possibly get thrown into a spam folder or unsubscribe just because it kind of looks like you're sending this person a bunch of garbage. Now, if we look below the fold here, as you can see, now the email starts to get good where all the information that should have been conveyed earlier or higher up in the email is now we're getting to this. So you want this information or any information that's pertinent and that is actually going to show up regardless of whether or not the image privileges are enabled to be as high as possible in that email so that you can get it into the first frame, so that the person receiving this email doesn't think that it's just junk. And you can see as you go down, you get more and more information still with the images disabled. So the point I wanted to illustrate with this point is that if you're sending an email and when it hits the inbox, it's going to look like this, then we got to make some changes so that we can get the email to look a little bit more like this when it comes through. So you always want whatever the information is to come through. So sometimes you might have to do a text overlay with your HTML over the image so that the text still shows up even if the image doesn't. Sometimes you might want to make the image smaller or change the formatting. Sometimes you might want to just get rid of the image altogether. And then you also want to be careful about the size of your images. I'm talking width. Anything over 600 pixels is going to start to give you issues and start to trigger promotions and things like that. And if the actual file size is like let's say it's an HD picture and it's a large file size, that can also start to cause issues because it'll increase the size of the actual email that you're going to be sending out. Okay, so again, not reinventing the wheel, found an example that works really well. So this is an email from Tony Robbins, and the beautiful thing about this example is that with or without the image privileges enabled, this is a very strong email. It's very straight to the point. The information is right there in your face. So I want you guys to take a look at this. So on the left here, we have an example without the images enabled, and on the right here, obviously the images are enabled. And it's really important that you guys test these emails as they're going out so that you can see what it looks like. And if it doesn't make sense for whatever the reason, if your email is looking like our first example, you don't want to send that one out. You want to make whatever edits you need to so it looks a little better, it comes across a little cleaner if that account has their image privileges off. So I'm not going to spend too much time here, guys. This is kind of really straightforward, but I really like how this email comes across as far as optimization and what it looks like, regardless of whether the images are on it. So when you're putting together your campaigns, send a few test emails and see if you can accomplish something similar. So just a few hacks or tricks for you guys. So if you have even minimal coding skills, I want you guys to try and do a text overlay over some of your images and just again run a test, see how it looks, if your words are coming through. And basically what we're talking about is just typing or using your HTML to put some words over the image. So let's say this image was disabled, you'd still get the text coming through, which would again reinforce the value or the point of the email as soon as possible when that person opens it. So hack number 2 is always send tests. So you create an email account, or a few actually, from the different email service providers. Have an account, at least one, where the images are disabled, and then send yourself a test and see if the email still makes sense. I've kind of been going over this this whole video, but send tests specifically with the images disabled and see what it looks like. See if your email still is going to make sense when that person gets it. And if it doesn't, just update the email until it looks good. And just one more time for those of you who might have missed it earlier, if your image is wider than 600 pixels, you're going to start to trigger your promotions folder and your spam folders. So if you are going to add images, try and make them as small as files as possible, and try not to make them any wider than 600 pixels, or you're going to start to have some deliverability issues.
Hey guys, okay, so that was it. Nothing too crazy, but some important things there to help you guys make sure that you're getting the best out of every email that you guys send. At this point, you guys know what it is. If you enjoyed the content and you learned something, please like the video. If you have any questions, please drop that information below, and I'll do my best to answer those questions for you, or just take the information and turn it into content so I can add even more value for you guys. If you know somebody who might benefit from this information, please share it with them. I think that's about it, guys. Guys, if you know anyone who's looking to increase profits for their e-commerce store and they are not doing email marketing, please put them on, show them one of these videos, tell them holla at your boy, tell your aunties, next door neighbors, cousin, thrice removed, ex-boyfriend to holla at me if they need to take their store to a whole new level. Guys, this has been Kevin from Majesty Marketing Solutions. I'll see you on the other side. Deuces.